Good afternoon. This is Diane, DNF Properties, and today is 11/29/2023, and I just came back from our general membership meeting at the Santa Clara County Association of Realtors, and we had two very special speakers today. One was Lawrence Yun from the National Association of Realtors. He's an economist from the National Association of Realtors. And the other was Joran Levine, and he is an economist with the California Association of Realtors. So these are guys that study the economy. They study what's happening in rates. They study a lot of the reports that come out every month. And they kind of give us a forecast of what they expect in 2024. So I'm going to quickly go over the points that that I thought were important that maybe you guys should know. First of all, Lawrence Yun, which is the National Association of Realtors economist, he expects. He was telling us that we have record high national debt and we have really low high deficit. So that means that there's a lot of spending going on in the United States, causing a lot of inflation. But he does see inflation coming down, and it has been coming down with a lot of the reports that we have seen nationally. He doesn't see real estate getting hurt too much. Sales have gone down, but not because real estate's bad. Sales are going down because there's nothing to sell. He is, again, national guy. It's all over the United States. Inventory is very low. Rates have kept some buyers away because rates have been around 8% for a few months. They have been declining in the last 4 weeks, and has kept some buyers away. But sales are down. He expects sales to increase in 2025. He thinks that 2024. He thinks that 2023 was the low of the cycle for real estate, and then we're going to go back up again as far as sales go, because he does think the inventory is going to pop up a little bit. There is talk nationally to increase the capital gains exemption. Right now it's $250,000 for a single and $500,000 for a married couple. And there is talk that the government is going to increase it, and there's a lot of people that are pushing for it, to $500,000 for a single person and $1 million for a married couple. Now, this has not changed in 25 years. The $250,000 has been around for 25 years, while everything else has been adjusted for inflation. So it's only fair to adjust that exemption. And if we do get that exemption, I think it's going to get a lot of people off the fence. There's a lot of baby boomers that have properties for a long, long time. They have built up so much equity, and they don't want to sell because they have to pay a big dollar amount to the tax guy. So hopefully that will pass. And if you ever see anything that I send you to maybe call your congressperson to see if we could get this passed, that would be great. It would help a lot of people, especially in high areas like the Bay Area and a lot of other parts of California. So that's what he is mentioned. He didn't mention that commercial real estate is down. There is a slowdown right now in commercial, but not in residential, like a 30% decrease in prices. And we may see some foreclosures in the commercial side, nothing in the residential side. The community banks are a mess right now because of the high interest rate environment. So he really thinks there's going to be a pause in the interest rate, and the Federal Reserve will not increase it anymore. If anything, we may see a decrease coming up next year, hopefully. He does predict interest rates to be in the low 6s by spring of next year. Hopefully that will happen. We'll see. And I know a lot of buyers will come out if that does happen. But home builders, that's free sale. Home builders on the other end are experiencing really good sales. They are, of course, they can build, they can add inventory. Resale market, we can only add inventory if sellers want to sell. So the builders have been adding some inventory, and they have been doing well. And actually, a lot of the stocks for these home builders have been doing very, very well since the beginning of the year. Job market, he says that the job markets are still gaining, but each month they're gaining less and less and less and less. So he says that we might get to a neutral or even a negative jobs report in the near future. And it's a lag, so we're getting a lot of information and the data from a few months ago where the current situation may be a little worse. It's just not reflected in a lot of the reports. Another thing too, he indicated, and it's true, there's a big wealth difference between home ownership and renters. Renters on average have an equity value of about 10,000, and versus this is national levels, 10,000, and then you go to the people who own homes and they have like a $350,000 asset on average. So there's a big difference here in the Bay Area. It's even a bigger, wider difference. But owning a home is really important, and that's how people build wealth. And I know that. I've been in real estate for going to be 45 years next year, and I've seen a lot of up and downs, but everybody I know that owns real estate has created a wealth for them and their families. That was from Mr. Yun. Now, Mr. Levine, which is from the California Association of Realtors, and he just studies the California economy. Very similar, very, very similar information that he gave us to Lawrence. However, he doesn't think we're going to hit the low sixes in springtime. He thinks we're going to probably see low sixes in the rates closer to the end of the year. We shall see. We don't know. The interest rates are very dependent on what happens with a lot of these reports that we get on a daily basis. The CPI, the PPP, the PPE, a lot of the unemployment. There's a lot of things that go into the numbers, and a lot of things that make the bond market react, which is where interest rates are derived from. So when the Federal Reserve does change interest rates, it doesn't really affect real estate directly. It affects line of credits, it affects cars, it affects credit cards, student loans, but not mortgages. Mortgages are really a reaction of the bond markets. But the bond market does turn around and react to what the Federal Reserve does. So it kind of goes hand in hand, but it's not a direct correlation. Joran believes that he's worried about the commercial real estate in California because there's a lot of empty spaces. About 30% of office spaces are empty, and that has a lot to do with COVID and people going back to not going back to work right now. And they think it's going to be for a long, long time. We're going to see maybe 2 days on, 2 days off from work, not off, but 2 days in the office, 3 days at home. So a lot of telecommuting, and that has not changed, and he doesn't think that's going to change. So there's a lot of empty office spaces. And the problem with that, and why they think a lot of them might go into foreclosure, is because a lot of them have loans that are going to reset next year. And a lot of those loans are low, and if rates are higher, they're going to be getting a lot of higher interest rates, and some office space owners, the building owners, are not going to be able to afford them. They just might let them go. So we may see some of that, but that's not going to translate into real estate, residential real estate. That's just going to be the commercial. California is going to have to do something to repurpose those buildings. There's talk of converting maybe some of them into condos, or converting them into low-income housing or something of that sort. It is expensive, and there's a lot of regulation in California, so hopefully the government could do something about that so that we don't have these spaces that are just empty and put them to a good use. He does think we should focus, buyers should focus on home buying. People come, and I have had people ask me, oh, we're going to go into foreclosure. There's going to be a lot of foreclosures. I'm going to wait for interest rates to get down to 3. Well, I got news for you. If interest rates go down to 3%, we're in a lot of trouble nationally. They're only going to go down 3% if we have a big, big, big major problem in the United States. Also foreclosures. Why would someone want to foreclose right now? I do know people who are in default, but they're not going to foreclose. They're not going to let the bank foreclose. They're going to sell their homes because like 90% of the people have 20% equity in their homes. There's very few, 10% of people are short on they're upside down on their mortgage. That's a very small percentage. The majority of people have equity, and if they're in trouble, they are not going to let their equity go away. They're going to just sell their home. So anything that is a potential foreclosure is not going to ever get to that stage. So if you think you're going to wait for foreclosures to happen, it's just not going to. Something very, very, very bad in the economy of the United States has to happen for us to see something like that. Everybody has to lose their jobs. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people have to lose their jobs for us to see something in the foreclosure realm again. To see the interest rates go down 3%, again, you have to have something really bad happen in the economy. And then they're going to have to just bring rates really down to bring the economy back up. Will it ever happen again? Who knows? But it's not going to happen anytime soon. I mean, unless, again, it's something major, and nobody wants anything major to happen in their life or the government or the United States, because it affects everybody. So don't wait for that. And actually, there's a prediction that rates we're going to have a little bit more inventory next year, and the sales are going to even go higher next year. So right now is a really, really good time to buy if you're a buyer, because sellers, this is a typical time of the year when inventory is low anyways, but sellers are a little bit more motivated to sell. Usually people that are selling around the holidays is because they're motivated. It's not because they have to sell or they want to buy into another house. It's because they have to, they're divorced or they need a bigger space, or they have new babies in the house. There's all kinds of reasons why people are needing to buy and sell right now, but you can negotiate with those sellers right now. You're going to wait till springtime and you're not going to be able to negotiate anymore. You can always refinance. So if rates are still too high for you, as long as you qualify for that loan, you can always refinance later when rates do settle down. They have gone down a little bit, so you're probably looking at about somewhere in the low 7s, maybe very high 6s on some products, which is a much better situation than the 8% we were seeing just like a month ago. So there's real estate forecast for next year in a nutshell. If you want any more information, give me a call at 408-221-6602. And if you have anything that you want to buy or sell, give me a call. I'll be happy to help you too. I do have 3 listings right now that I'd like to share. One's a mobile home in a senior park in San Jose. One is a condominium in Blossom Hill, 2-bedroom, 1-bath. We're asking $528. It's all remodeled, ready to go. And I have a beautiful short-term rental. It's at the Seascape Resort in Naptos. It's a studio. It generates good income, and you can have a second home. So if you're interested in any of those properties, call me at 408-221-6602. Or if you just want to ask me questions about real estate in general, I'd be more than happy to help you. Thank you so much for listening, and share if you can. Bye.